Punjab Kings finally get back to winning ways as they defeat Chennai Super Kings. Of course, this was a must-win game for Punjab, and yeah, they came back pretty strong. Welcome on Boomer Live. I'm Abel. I'm joined by Nikhil to talk about the match and break down about the match. Nikhil, let's talk about this game because this game was a topsy-turvy one. Chennai had it in them, but then you can say their own mistakes caused them this game, isn't it? Because Punjab puts 187 for 4. You will believe that it was a par total on a sticky wicket. But then Chennai also were right in the chase until the last 4 overs. After the Sandeep Sharma over, you totally believe that Chennai had this game. But from there on, it was Arshdeep and Rabada's magic, which got Punjab clawing back into this game. Nikhil, what did you make of those 2 overs? From they were 141 at the end
Yeah,
of 16 overs. From there
yeah.
on, they were 153 at 18 overs. 12 runs in 2 overs with a wicket. You reckon that was a turning point of this game?
Possibly, but I do feel, to be very honest, that Chennai had a very off game right from the start in terms of they began really well. Till the time they got Mayank out, I think they were spot on with their lines and lengths, didn't allow them to get away. But again, I'll not pinpoint the two drops, but I felt once after those two drops, you didn't see them threaten enough to take wickets. And some of the bowling changes didn't make much sense in terms of Santner has a very good record against left-handers. Why we do not bowl his 4 hours out? Why is Jadeja bowling on the pads? It's again could have worked out for him eventually, but again, it's just some of the things that they have done so far. It hasn't really added up. Again, Santner at three, he's had success, but it's a very tricky thing to try out in a game where in a situation where you are. So it's not like he got off the blocks. So I think
Yeah.
Chennai were always behind the rate, and it was only thanks to Ambati Raidu's crazy innings that they were. I think Ambati played one of his finest knocks. Very underrated guy. I don't think he gets the attention he deserves.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of him that Chennai even got closer. Uh,
True.
and if you see the strike rates of the rest of the batters, none of them could get going at all on this deck.
Right. Of course. Let's talk about Punjab's batting before we come back to Chennai's batting. Of course, you mentioned that two drops did not cause them much, but then you reckon that 22 over by Pretorius to Liam Livingston, that was kind of a turning point in this game. Though you can say it was neutralized by Ambati to Sandeep Sharma, but still,
Yeah.
where those positions both the teams were in at the end of 17 overs were very similar. But that's where that 22 run over came and which took the score to 174 from 152. And from there on, it was a 13 run last over, whatever you could say. You reckon that was the turning point? And also, you cannot blame because Pretorius had a crazy matchup against Liam Livingston before this match, and you would
Yeah.
you would back Pretorius to absolutely get Liam Livingston once more. And but yeah, ultimately, when you look back at this game, you could point that out that over, isn't it?
For sure, but also we need to realize what led to that over. When Livingston came in, he had all the license. Now, when you have all the license in the world, it's not going to matter who's going to bowl, what are his bowl numbers, because then your mindset's completely different. So I think that is something that has cost that I think cost CSK more. That they gave the extra runs that to Punjab. I don't think this was a good score. I mean, this was a pass for. I think it was probably 20 more than needed. And I think all the time I was tweeting that Chennai have to 10 too many to chase, and that too because Rayadu got going. Otherwise, if you see everybody struggled, and again, Livingston is a kind of guy you want to come in such situations. And I think it was the platform that Rajapaksha and Dhawan laid for their side that it meant that Livingston could just come in and play his shots without worrying about getting on. So
Absolutely.
Chennai never got into that position, and I think that's also something that Chennai should think about in terms of using their batting depth far more.
Yeah.
Chris, Dwayne Pretorius and Wayne Bravo. I'm not saying you need to score 50 from them, but you can get a 10 ball 30 or a 6 ball 20 from them. It's exactly
Yeah.
what Livingston did. So I think they need to use that batting resource much more. And as I said, with the ball, there are just too many questions with the way this side functions for now.
True. There was an interesting interview by Manuka Rajapaksa at the end of the first innings where he said that they were targeting at 150 as a pass score,
Yeah.
considering the wicket. It was very sticky early on. You could make out, they weren't able to get off to that flying start as Punjab is known to.
Yeah.
They're very much restricted. And that's where you need a player like Dhawan. And Dhawan is a master of these kind of
Yes.
scores, isn't it? We'll talk about his
Yes.
innings. But before that, we'll come to the Devraj's question of Sandner just bowling out 2 overs. You reckon that is predominantly because of the shorter side boundary, bowling to two left-handers?
Yeah, and again, it is something that confuses me. Then, if that was the case, why did Jadeja bowl? Jadeja is a left-hander. Is a left-handed bowler. He doesn't like facing left-handed batters. Then why would he bowl himself and then bowl in the pads without wanting to take a wicket? So again, I'm sure there would have been some plan. They don't do things for the sake of it, but it just doesn't add up. If you have to back your bowlers to come good and give them enough game time, Mukesh did a fair job, and I think apart from that one over where the Livingston got into it, you never felt that Chennai there was something happening. You always felt that it was getting too easy for Punjab to rotate strike and to get things done. So I think that's where Chennai. I think they were also a lot more lax in the field. You could see so many ones converted into twos and all of that. So again, it could just be that we are reading too much into it. But I just feel it was a completely off game for not a completely off game, but a lot more offs than ons for them today.
Absolutely. You could make out because most of their ballers went for plenty, and that
Yeah,
was the turning point in the game. Let's talk about Chennai's batting now. Of course, that's
yeah,
it's an area of concern as well. 188 is not an easy score, but then you still back this batting lineup to chase 9 out of 10 times because of the depth they've got. You reckon now they should be changing their opening partnership slightly because it's not been working for them for quite a while. It's either Ruturaj Gaikwad clicking
yeah,
or Robin Uthappa clicking. It's not them both clicking together. And Chennai's success has
yeah.
always been when both the openers click together. You reckon they can possibly try to bring in someone like a Sandner up top, just left hand right hand combination and play Robin Uthappa at three because Robin Uthappa has done decently well at three as well, and he's a good player of spin.
Uh, I think if they wanted to change, they would have done it already. They wouldn't have slotted in Santa at three. Uh,
Yeah,
you can understand the idea is to use the power play, but for now it isn't working out. And again, Ruturaj Gaikwad also played very less balls in the first 6 overs, so the
yeah,
strike rotation is also a problem. So it is, as I said, there are just too many things happening with Chennai that you can't put a finger on it and say that okay, this is what is wrong. There are just too many holes right now. And see, when it comes off, it looks great. But we need to also see it's only come off twice for them in a long season. So it could still come off in the upcoming games, but they just need to put in that good performance together as a unit. And as I said, use the batting resources well. Jadeja ended up with 20 when in 16, I think, but that's
yeah.
thanks to the 1-6 he hit
Yeah,
in the
I'll
end.
come to
So
that question now.
yeah,
Jadeja's batting has been an issue throughout this IPL. He's
yeah,
not been the Jadeja we know of because last couple of seasons, you felt like when Jadeja is there to bat, he could possibly turn
yeah,
things around. And Jadeja has come off age as a batsman as well. If you look at last
yeah,
3 years, you
yes.
reckon now, and even if when he played for India, the Sri Lankan series, he just looked very good with the bat. You reckon now is it the added responsibility of captaincy, or is he very reluctant as a batsman at this point that he's not able to get away? Some of the balls which was ball to him was on the slot, but on another day, Jadeja would have put it away. Today, he was looking for those doubles, singles, and he was very restricted as a batsman. Just cut off that six which he hit of the last over. It could have well been 14 or 15 or 15 balls.
Yeah, again, I think teams have really found. It's not that teams have found a way to really keep him quiet. He just has had a very middling season with the bat, with the ball too. To be honestly, now whether it's the responsibility of being a captain or not, that's something only he can answer very honestly. But there is something that is missing from Jadeja that you can very visibly see with the way he's batting, with the way he's bowling.
Right,
Because I don't remember Jadeja bowling so much into the legs of a batter in the recent time. You still
right.
want him to attack and look for wickets. If the point is that I'll be the defensive option, there isn't enough attacking option in this lineup in any which way. So I don't think you can always be a defensive option. So hopefully whatever it is, it's cleared very soon because Chennai cannot afford India and Jadeja himself cannot afford a very off IPL season, especially with the way Hardik is batting. Because if
Right.
Hardik and Shardul continue to contribute with both bat and ball, again I might be thinking too far ahead, but Jadeja would be under
No,
some pressure
rightfully,
to
rightfully.
sustain his place in the side.
Not just that, you also have now players like Akshar Patel stepping up with their batting game. So, definitely there'll be pressure here and there on Jadeja. But I'm going to ask you something very interesting. Jadeja has been batting at number six. Now, with no Moeen Ali, can he slot himself at number three? And Mitchell Sandner can bat wherever, can come down the order as well. He's not the most prolific batsman if you look at it in T20 cricket. He's a pinch hitter, but If you look at his stats, he's never come off, even domestically for New Zealand, even internationally, anywhere. He has not really gone on to make the mark like he has done in first class cricket. Can Jadeja bat at number 3 take the responsibility of that left hand batsman there?
I think it's too much to ask Jadeja to bat at three. He can. It's not. I'm not saying he cannot, but I think he's best used as a finisher. It's not that he can't do it. We've seen him do it. It's just about executing, and because I really feel if such is the case, then you could probably use a Devon Convoy more with the bat than you are doing with the Mitchell Santner. Because if you're only going to give him 2 overs, then it's not worth the amount of
Yeah.
spot in terms of the returns that you're getting. If you're going to give him 4 overs every game, yes, please play Mitchell Santner every single game. But he also dropped a catch. So again, these are the things, and he dropped a sitter. So these are things that you really cannot put a finger on for Chennai. That how are they finding new problems every game? If one day Mukesh Chaudhary is doing fine, then there is other hole that has to be plugged.
Yeah.
So again, it's a bit, as I said, a combined issue. I think Jadeja is the best guy that they have for the last 5 over slot. So I think his entry point should remain there only, because we have to remember he gets tied down by spin bowling. So we haven't quite seen him taken down spinners as much as he's taken down pacers. So
Right.
it's something that he also knows. We saw that even today that he was. You just don't see that intent to attack spin as much as it is to attack pace. So then that could be a very easy way for to keep team to keep him quiet. I think Chennai just need to look at Raidu and bat like Ambati has today. I mean, it was so refreshing. From ball one, it doesn't matter if I get out, and it wasn't reckless. That is
Yeah.
there is a difference in being bold, being brave, and being reckless. So that Ambati was always on the right side of the line, and I think that is just the perfect blueprint for Chennai to follow right through the season now.
Yep. Let's come to Punjab's batting, of course. Shikhar Dhawan was their key highlight. He scored a brilliant 88. But then Bhanuka Rajapaksha, we've been talking about him for a very long time on
Yeah.
this live that he should be brought back into the team. You reckon there's an ideal 11 for Punjab going, and finally they found that ideal 11 where Rishi Dhawan is slotted in at number 7. You have a Bhanuka Rajapaksha, Johnny Bairstow, Liam Livingstone all playing, and they can possibly, on a good day, on a good batting surface, they can also push 200 odd. And even on a sticky wicket, they're able to post 188 because Bhanuka Rajapaksa has got a solid game. He can absolutely go from ball one and he can also play a anchor's role. That's what he showed today, isn't it?
Exactly, and I think it is so good to see that we've been calling for Rishi Dhawan to play, to provide that balance that they want from an Odean Smith.
Yeah.
Because you have to realize he's been in form, he's taking wickets. If he took, again, I will say he was probably lucky with the Dhoni wicket because
Yeah.
that was going down leg. He got a toppage, but till then he didn't do anything wrong.
Rishi Dhawan
Even
would
if
say that
he
was a perfect leg cutter.
I mean, yeah, and even if by mistake he considered those runs, it wouldn't all be down to him.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Such things don't happen very often. But the balance that this Punjab team has right now, it's far better than what it was in the previous few games. And
Yeah.
we have to remember Johnny Bairstow is yet to fire. For
Yeah.
them to get to a score of 180 without a good contribution from, yes, Liam did contribute, but without Johnny Bairstow or the other guys chipping in, I think it tells a lot about the strength of the side. Like we've been calling Punjab a good side for these reasons only, but it's because the combination that they never got it right. You
Right.
always felt that over a shot, and of course we will talk about Arshdeep, but man, what a bowling spell once again under pressure.
Yeah.
He's been time and again
He's
doing
the
it.
most underrated bowler of this season because he's not up
Yeah,
there with the purple cap list, but then time and time again he delivers for Punjab on those crucial overs. And let's say he's one of the retained players, but then he has just taken up the responsibility to bowl some of the hardest overs in world cricket, isn't it?
and again, it's surprising that he's probably one of the few retained players who are doing well
Yeah.
in this IPL. So again, it just tells about the weird nature of this tournament. But again, really very very happy to see Arshdeep Paul the way he has, because to execute your plans every single game against different opponents, different venues, it's not an easy skill. The best in the game are not able to do it at times.
Right.
And for a young lad, uncapped Indian, to do that, really good. I think he was with the team in the Sri Lanka too. So I think
Yeah.
he did get his cap, but again, not enough international experience. So really, hats off to him for continuously leading the attack for Punjab.
Can we see an Indian cap very soon on him? Because he's another, left hand options are very rare in India, and quality left arm options are also not as much. You have a now Khalil who has had a decent IPL. Natarajan is there, but then considering Arshdeep's age, just 21 years, 22 years old, and he's already taken up all the pressure on him to ball those tough overs. Can we see an Indian cap on him very soon?
I think he'll be in the squad for sure for the World Cup as well. I think he'll probably be a backup to T. Natarajan
Yeah.
in that slot because you have a lot of options now. But yes, I don't think it's too long, especially if he can continue to grow the way he has as a bowler. I will definitely see more of him in the coming times.
It's always nice to see a fast bowler perform, and of course, you have to talk. Let's talk about Shikhar Dhawan before we call it a day. Shikhar Dhawan, do you reckon this was a proper template innings for Shikhar Dhawan? Over the years, I always played this 60 ball 80, 55 ball 80
Yeah,
odd, where he is able to control the innings on these tough surfaces and he loves playing against the Chennai Super Kings. Before
yeah,
this innings, he averaged close to 41 there. And of course,
yeah.
as he got going, he was unstoppable, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, this is probably also the kind of depth for Shikhar to show his skills. You can say it was probably an ODI kind of a knock, where you don't get off well, but the wicket is sticky, so you give yourself enough time, and then you start finding the fence towards the later half of the inning. So again, just showed the value that Dhawan adds. There is the reason why he's second on the list now, only behind Virat, and Virat had crossed that mark, I think last to last year, and he's still just only 400 behind. That is Shikhar. So it just tells you how consistent Dhawan has been. But what has definitely changed is also his tempo and Dhawan's impact as an opener from the last few years. So that's good to see. Uh, Unfortunately, I don't see him being back in the reckoning, but it's good for Dhawan as a T20 batter and for the franchise that he's playing for sure.
You never know. With injuries here and there, you might all of a sudden see Shikhar Dhawan opening with Rohit in the World Cup, and of course Shikhar loves playing in Australian conditions as well. So yeah, possibly. Who knows?
But it, it,
Top,
it is obviously better to have guys in form rather than having guys not getting off the first 10 balls right now.
and Rahul will be hoping that he faces Mumbai Indians in the World Cup as well, so he can get going there. Let's
Yes.
talk about the booming five of the day, the highest
Yes.
fantasy earners from today's game. Because of course we
Yo.
love to talk about this segment because
Yeah.
this is where we show our skills. Because this is what we have in our hand.
Yep.
Of course, you expected Ambati Raidu there. Of course, there's Ambati Raidu and Shikhar Dhawan who have almost got similar points. And of course, we have Rishi Dhawan, Kagiso
Yep.
Rabada, and Rajapaksha. Kagiso Rabada, of course, that over to Ambati Raidu was so crucial, wasn't he, in getting to that list? Because he was just brilliant today as well.
Yeah,
And how many of
brilliant.
them did
And
you have in your lineup? I forgot to ask you that.
so team one didn't have all of them, but team two had all five. So a proper lemonade kind of a day for me.
Ah, proper. Nowadays, you're just carrying the lemonade to just drink it. Even if you have wavy hair, that's okay. I have a lemonade. I think you should make a lemonade and keep it before. You could push it in refrigerator before the match,
No, no,
before
no.
the
It is done. It is done only if I have more than four players in my top five teams in my top two in my two teams for the IPL.
proper. That's what you want to hear. Of
Yeah.
course, if you want to have more of this lemonade kind of a day where you absolutely ace it, Nikhil is taking a course on fantasy sports as to how you can pick, play, and win continuously and consistently out there. Of course, the link is there in the bio, and Nikhil is
Yeah.
going to explain you on a brief as to why you should be joining that course.
Yes, so as I rightly said, a lot of you would have been surprised when I said that I had all five in my team too. But
Yeah.
again, that is the reason why you play with multiple teams, and just one of the most important points of my course that you have to be able to find out who is a safe player and who is a risky player for this particular game contest series, and then make your choices accordingly. Now, in the team that I had all five, my captain was Mitchell Sandman. So had he even taken a wicket or two, that team would have given me so much more in return. So this is how you plan. Like, okay, Rishi Dhawan is coming. Not many people will take him. Where will he bowl? Probably one and two to three up top and one down. Chennai have lost wickets up top. He can strike. He bowls at the dead. If Chennai have a good score to chase, he could take wickets as well. So you take him. Other four guys, Shikhar Dhawan was in form. Rayudu has been batting very well. So all these insights come when you spend enough time thinking about a lot about your teams. I also
Right.
obviously my team one didn't have Raidu or Ishidava, but that's the point. You play with different teams, different combination scenarios. The point has to be at the end of the day, you should be able to get money back in whatever shape and form. To
Yeah.
be in this for the long run, it's not a 1 or 2 day run. It's a marathon. You have to be at it. And if you have such processes in place, which I mentioned in the course, that how to find the best possible combination for a spinning track or a pacey track, how do you select those track, and all of that is it's covered in the course. And as I said, the moot point is to be in this, you have to be patient. You can't rely on luck and things just that it will happen. It will happen if you stay to it. If you stick to it, one day you will crack what works for you, and then you
Absolutely.
will be in this for a long term.
Of course, that's how every race is won. And if you're playing grand leagues or minor leagues, that doesn't matter. Stick at it. And if you're like me, if you stick to your guts and rather than going with practical, I had Raidu as my vice captain and Shikhar Dhawan as my captain. In the
Oh.
last moment, I was like, let me go with Mike. And
Ah,
sometimes, you can stick to your guts rather than thinking that I was like,
that
Raidu
is
might
that
come.
is one of the most important lessons to be followed in fantasy. That never change your team one after toss unless somebody is not playing. So
Yeah,
that whatever, if the team one is the gut feel team, stick to it. Most
yeah.
often, it's those changes in the last 30 seconds or the last 40 seconds that cost us games.
True. It just costed me a big way. And I'll keep that advice. I
Yeah,
was very close to winning something very big today, but yeah, that's okay. I'll take that. And
yeah.
so, guys, thank you for joining us because, of course, we'll be bringing some exciting content on daily basis. As you all might be knowing, that we have started some exciting Twitter spaces as well. We'll be having Nikhil Jones and almost everybody, Sandeepani, myself, to talk about game previews, fantasy predictions. So don't miss out on our Twitter space and follow us on Instagram as well. Where I'll be keeping updated with the memes and all the fantasy prediction content as well. So, of course, subscribe to our YouTube content because you don't want to miss out on that. I also click the bell icon because we'll be coming live after every game with Nikhil, Jones, Sandeepani. So, and we'll be having some exciting giveaways as well in the coming days. So you don't want to be missing out on any of those content
Yep.
provided by us. And do remember, Boomerang is totally free to play. And this IPL, you can win prizes worth up to $5,000. So get your hands on it right now, right away. Make your team already because tomorrow is also an exciting game. RCB taking on Rajasthan and Pune. Both teams, Rajasthan on a high, RCB on a low. Let's see where it goes tomorrow. Which Royals takes it. So having said
Oh,
that, bye bye and good night.
yes. Good night. Have a good lemonade. Cheers.